been having a great day. I'm so happy to see you guys. Connection is clear.
Likewise. Thank you.
We're connected. So firstly, let me just very quickly introduce the blog and introduce myself. Firstly, thank you for supporting the blog. It's called Be the Artist Blog, and it's here to support artists and learn more about people's journey. I am a singer-songwriter myself, but I only kind of ventured in during the pandemic. And I have an interesting fact, which actually might show your age a little bit.
That's all right. Okay.
Before we get into that, yeah, it's really to kind of learn the musical journey. It's hard sometimes, it's great sometimes, but most of all, a lot of independent and signed artists can relate and connect in many different ways. So without further ado, introduce yourselves to our audience, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Okay, we're the official 4 p.m. I'm the senior member. My name is Roberto. Peace and love.
I'm actually the baby of the bunch. My name is Ray. Nice to see you guys out there.
My name is Larry. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining me today. So I did mention a slightly embarrassing fact, or maybe it's not embarrassing. You guys started your a cappella group back in 1991. Which is when I was born.
Okay.
That was a
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what? If anything, it shows you guys are, consistent and legendary and having spent time in an industry for so long. So you've seen it from beginning to end. So I'm excited to dive into that aspect of your musical journey. But talk to me about your a cappella group. How was it formed, and how was like your humble beginnings?
Wow. So this started, I want to say, back in 91, when we finally put this group, the four of us, including Martez Ware, who now is no longer with us, but he's still our brother. He's out in LA, took another path in life, and he's got our blessing. We have his. But in 91, we were writing songs, trying to create the 4 p.m. sound. And we're not instrumentalists, we're all vocalists. So to be able to get those songs to sound the way we wanted them, we had to arrange it with, this sort of what we thought was instruments in the background, which is all our voices. And so I would arrange the song, say, Bob, hit this little part right here. It's going to sound like a bass. Larry, you're going to sound like a guitar up here. Marty, we're going to put you kind of in the mid-range. And so we ended up arranging these songs a cappella, not really knowing that that's what we were doing necessarily, but once we were done, we were able to sing them, and it had just a nice full sound, and all of a sudden, it became kind of our signature sound, and so we started performing in different venues and different places without instrumentation, and so we became kind of the a cappella group back then by way of just, it just came naturally because we had to learn the songs one way or the other, and that's the way we ended up doing it.
I always find it intriguing with a cappella groups, because I think as a vocalist, as a male vocalist as well, I think it's always incredible to use all parts of your voice and also understand your instrument in a way that, I guess, no shade to any new artists coming up, but a cappella groups really understand their voice and how to mimic instruments, like you say, and how to blend and how to harmonize.
Right.
So I think you kind of started in kind of like expert mode right at the beginning, which is amazing. So you guys actually performed at a party, like a release party, when you first got signed. Talk about that experience. You got signed to Next Plateau Records at that time. How was that experience for you guys?
Well, we got invited to a party. We were singing a cappella, like Ray mentioned. And at this party, they asked us to sing a few songs. Little did we know that the executive was in the audience as well. So afterwards, he approached us. He said, man, you guys got a really great sound. I want to put you guys into the studio to record a demo. And we were just like, wow, this is our chance. This is our break. So not only did we go in and record the demo, but once the demo was finished and he got his feedback from his industry, associates, they were like, okay, we're going to sign you. You guys got to go into the studio, and we need an album in 21 days.
Oh, 21 days? Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, 21 days. How many tracks was that in the album? Because back in the day...
13?
Yeah, 13. I
think it was 13, yeah.
Wow.
And then we did a bonus track for the Japanese version of the album, so there was 14 on the overseas album.
Wow, that must have
Yeah.
been a
Oh,
obviously it's an exciting process to be signed, to be recognized by people within the industry as obviously amazing artists, but the pressure must have been
Yeah,
a
oh,
lot.
that was our very first experience of sleeping in the studio.
no
Everybody had
showers.
no showers. Running out for takeout. I mean, that whole experience was, and we'd done it numerous times after that, but this was the first one, and it was just like there was not a lot of thought. In that situation, you can't think a lot, right? You just got to go to work,
Right.
and so we didn't think about it. If I was in the booth doing a part and I was done, somebody wake Larry up. It's his turn to go in the booth. Larry's taking a nap. Wake
It's
him up.
non-stop. Yeah.
Clear your throat, sip on some tea with honey, and boom, and you're in there. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
basically what we did.
Yeah.
No, that's for those who don't know, who are watching back. The record label had Salt and Pepper, Nina Sky. There were some big
Yeah.
names there underneath that label. How did that feel to be part of a roster? With artists that were really breaking out and doing their thing. How did that feel for you guys? And was there any kind of pressure of feeling like we need to match what people are on our label are doing?
No, not at all. If anything, we were flattered that we were amongst that group, of people. Anywhere we went, oh, you guys are next plateau. You with so and so and so and so. The unfortunate thing about it is that our success from the time we recorded Sukiyaki to the time that it hit number 8 on Billboard's top 10 charts, they packed us up and they sent us overseas to do promo out there. So we hit Japan, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia. So we were on the other side of the world while we were a hit here in the US. So to
Right.
be honest, we never got a chance to sit in the same room with Salt and Pepper. We never we never got to sit and hang out and
Yeah.
chat with Sybil
Nina Sky.
or Nina Sky, any one of them. So even though we were label mates, we were on the other side taking care of business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how did that feel? I mean, you've mentioned briefly, obviously, you're doing promotion overseas. Again, for people who don't know, Sukiyaki reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100s. It went gold. You had platinum in Australia as well. You were, successful in areas like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and Japan. Like, it's such an international scene. Obviously, that's really exciting. But like you said, did that kind of take away from trying to build the audience within the US, or were you just on the road moving out and about?
It sure did. Like Bob said, I think the timing of it didn't quite work out that great because we should have been technically in the perfect world. We would have been in the U.S. capitalizing on the success of that top 10 hit. And
Right.
so because the other parts of the world were asking for us, we delivered, but the
Right.
timing wasn't the best. By the time we came back and after that Asian tour, promotional tour, we came back to the U.S. and touched ground here. Our song had already fallen off
Slowly came
the top of the charts. We spent 22 weeks in the top 10, I think it was, and we actually were overseas for that whole time frame. So by the time we came back, it affected a lot because we could have been during that time frame on a lot of the big talk shows back in the day. Oprah Winfrey was on the air. You had David Letterman on the air. You had Jay Leno on the air. And so a lot of those guys, they typically want you while you're in the top 10.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're off of the top 10 and you're trying to get on the show like that, they're like, hey, you're yesterday's news, so we missed that beat, and it was so long ago. I mean, we kind of went through the trauma of that, but it was, there were decisions being made outside of our control, that really didn't allow us to even decide one way or the other what we wanted to do in that respect.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a strong believer that everything happens for a reason. That those moments for that not to happen, probably, we don't know where you would end up like in 5-10 years.
Sure.
You guys have
Exactly.
been going
Exactly.
strong, so it's a shame, but it is what it is. How does that feel? Because for a lot of indie artist and unsigned artist, the labels sometimes seem like a very shiny thing to get into, right? It's kind of a sparkly thing that will take care of you and your music.
Right.
Obviously, we don't, you know, I'm sure you have great relationships with people that were part of the label, and the industry has changed across the years. But what advice would you give to somebody who has recently been signed, or maybe feeling unheard by their label? What sort of advice would you give?
Yeah.
It's kind of a catch-22 because a major label, obviously they have a lot more resources and there's a lot they can do to get an artist exposed, right? So from that perspective, they can make an artist look like they're on top of the world, right? You know, so because they're carting you around in limousines, putting you up in nice hotels, they're making sure that you're getting the exposure that you need. But the deals, on the other hand, right, tend to be very one-sided in that the labels get in the lion's share of what's coming in, and the artist may not see much, you know, in terms of income. And so you got to really think about it in that sense. The other side of it is that if you're going to sign with a major, you have to kind of understand that you're giving up a lot of your creative license and your creative control, because they're going to make the decisions based on who's going to write for you, what songs you're going to put out.
Right.
And you may have to, you know, what you think are some great songs, and you'll pitch them and they'll say, we don't like them. We got a group of writers here. We're going to bring them in and this is what you're going to do. And because you're signed to them and you don't have a whole lot to say, you kind of end up in that situation where you have to kind of give that up, right? You know, that creative control. And that's where we were, honestly, when we were back in our 20s, and we didn't want to repeat that. So this time around, you know, with all the experience and the wisdom that we've gained over the years, we decided, you know what, this time around, we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to do it independently. Right. We're going to make the decisions. And now we're in a position of being able to do it the way we want, which is great.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I think, again, I think labels have sort of changed. It was harder for you guys to get signed in the time that you did.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because it's based off talent. It is based off what you bring to the table as an artist. Now, unfortunately, I feel like labels really look for somebody who's doing it all already. You know, who has a following, who's doing the social media, who's on the TikTok. It's not the same thing. Yes, they'll put you in the same places, but I just don't think it has. I'm not going to say it doesn't have value, but I don't think it has the same impact that it probably did at the time that you guys got signed. I do have to say, who's taking care of social media on for your page?
Oh, okay. So it's the name of the company is Above the World Studios, also Above the World Entertainment, and it's actually run by our children. So. Yeah. So my Roberto's son, who's also Roberto, he's Trey, call him Trey, Roberto the third, and my son Rico Pena and my daughter Sierra Sanosi are actually the three people that are basically kind of spearheading all of our social media.
I was just going to say, you know what, shout outs to them because they are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
It was just so nice to see. It's so nice to see that. I was pleasantly surprised. You know, you guys have come back to socials this year with your release, which we'll get into a little bit. But you know, the consistency, the quality of content. Shout outs to them because they're doing.
Thank you. They deserve all the credit. You know,
they deserve the credit.
Well,
they've been working hard.
One of the things that we planned this time around was making sure that part of the legacy is a platform for them to rise with us again, because we were already determined. Okay, so granted, we had Sukiyaki, it was 95, you had all this time span in between. Now we're going to do it again. You know, there was some naysayers. Oh, you old guys are going to try to break back into the industry. But back then, our grind was different. We had to get, you know, in cars, on buses, on planes, to go to radio stations, you know, to go to record stores and sign cassettes and CDs. Now with the internet, it's a whole different ballgame. We're sitting right now. We're in my kitchen and we're talking to you in the UK. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
If we would have had this tool back then, forget about it. You know what I mean?
I think that's the thing. I think it's such a different game right now. You know, to be connected to you guys from all across the world, apart. Hopefully we can meet in person one day, but
Absolutely.
Yes.
this is such a great opportunity to kind of connect
Yeah.
with you guys, learn about your story. And
Right.
whoever says you guys are old, they're haters. They're absolute haters. Because I
Thank you.
have to say, I was listening to the single some of the time, and the vocals are on point. Like, tell me which
Thank you.
young artist they struggle to hit the notes that you guys are doing, to the skills that you guys
Yeah,
do.
they-
You haven't lost the thing.
Probably, yeah, probably.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. I mean, in all fairness, I guess you could say we've got 30 plus years of practice, if you will, under our belts.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the thing. Like, this latest single has come after 30 years now.
Right.
It's somebody has said old but not cold. I love that. Shout out to you in the comments. But I think that's it. You've got the experience of being signed under a label, doing the grind, going to the stations, and also being unsigned, doing the label on your own, getting your family involved to do social media.
Right.
You have every spectrum of experience, which I think gives you guys, the leverage, I think, with all the releases you're doing. And okay, like Sukiyaki did amazing, but let's talk about Some of the Time. It's also doing incredible, which you have a remix EP as well with alongside the single. Talk to me about why now? Why was this the perfect time to come back?
Wow.
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think over the years, a lot of our family and friends were egging us on, like, hey, are you guys still singing? When are you gonna, put out another record? And I would always go to the fellas and like, so do you guys think we can get in the studio and do something for this year? Whether it's a single, it doesn't have to be an album. Let's just put something out there. They're asking for it. And unfortunately, bills, mortgages, everything else, true life,
Right.
and other circumstances kept that from happening. This year, I was able to retire from my job the end of July. And then Larry just retired from his 9 to 5 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So
Wow.
the timing is like, now we don't have any excuses. Now there's nothing on the calendar to stop us. The only thing that can stop us is us.
Right.
So we had the desire, and I told my son is actually going on 30. He's 29, and he was a year and a half when Sukiyaki first came out. So when I told him that we were going back in the studio and this time we were actually gonna, go through it, we're gonna drop a single, we're gonna drop an album, he was like, okay, that sounds good. When we dropped them, the first 4 demos that were completed, he was like, oh my gosh, you guys are for real.
Right.
He said, this is, you know what I mean? So coming from a 30-year-old kid, you know what I'm saying? It gave us that sense of, okay, we're on point. We're not compromising our ages, because we're grown men.
Right.
So the stylings and the lyrics and the harmonies that people know of 4 p.m., we still have it there.
Right.
We were able to get a producer to just bring us close enough to 2023,
Right.
with the production style, and that blend is just magic.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It feels like an old school track, but something that's quite nostalgic in its sound, but still current. And there is a big wave, especially in the UK at the moment, for R&B artists. There's a huge sound that is growing, I feel like, within the UK, especially groups. So I think if I didn't know who you were, it sounds like any modern day R&B group. It sounds.
Thank you so much.
Current.
Thank you.
So
That's good to know. We got to give a special shout out. I would feel remiss if we didn't, to the producer that produced Some of the Time. His name is Hookmaster Jazz. Okay, he's based out of San Diego here in the U.S. Tremendous talent, did a fantastic job, and we're really happy that marriage happened, because it really was magical in the studio with it.
And we're going to be working with him some more.
Oh, okay. You're teasing us with some more music. It's already doing well. You released a remix EP as well, and it was number 3 on the top iTunes dance chart. How did that feel? Because I feel like when you come back after so long, there is a little bit of pressure of, we need to do well, we need to get that magic back, and to get an accolade like that. How did that feel for you guys?
Very surreal.
Yeah, very surreal.
You know, again, I mean, you know, the first thing is, you know, here we are, we're 50 plus now, you know, we were 20 plus back and they were 50 plus. So the fact that people would not only accept us, you know, as a sort of a resurgent group, but to be able to feel our music to the extent that they took it to the top of the chart, it just, it's humbling, you know, and we're just really feeling blessed and grateful that people are accepting our music the way that they are. I mean, it's you know, it's crazy.
It's amazing. I think you deserve it. It's a great track. The EP is amazing as well. I think everyone who's worked on each of those remixes has done an incredible job.
Yeah, big shout out to Mr. Mig as well. Now that you mentioned that,
DJ Soulchild
and DJ Soulchild, and to Stereo Souls. Those are the 3 remixes there. We want to make sure we mention it.
Yeah. So if anyone is watching that, please do go stream the single and the remix EP. We have a lot of love in the chat as well. We had some love from the Philippines. I want to shout out to the Philippines. You guys are still global. It's amazing to see. So we have a comment about, and this also caught my attention. You know, 4 p.m. stands for positive music. What was the idea around that? For me, I personally, you know, I think in the industry today, positive messages are very rare and meaningful messages are very rare. So what made you feel like actually this is what we need to kind of send out there? Was there a lack of that sound that you heard, or has this always been part of your material?
Well, it actually stems back to when we released Sukiyaki back in '94. At the time, we had a different name, and there was a conflict. We already had the name trademarked, and it was ours. But a group from California, a group of young ladies, they released their single, and they requested us, you know, wow, we spent so much money, we did all of this, can we please use the name? So, you know, we could have been, you know, the ones that said, nah, you know, it's ours, but we let them have the name, and we thought, we figured, okay, let's figure out what our new moniker is going to be. So we came up with For Positive Music because at the time we were, you know, noticing back then there were a lot of songs that were, you know, talking about love and relationships, but in a more explicit manner. You know what I mean? There were a lot of songs. Yeah, there were a lot of songs that were just straight out degrading women. There were a lot of songs that were promoting hate and violence and stuff like that. So at that time,
profanity too.
Yeah, and at that time we decided, you know, we want to come out with a record that our wives, you know, our wives can hear, our parents can hear, our children can hear. Let's keep it positive.
Yeah,
that's where For Positive Music came.
Right.
So, fast forward to 2022, we decided we're going to keep the name.
Right.
We're going to keep it the official 4 p.m. For Positive Music. And we're going to continue with that mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love it. Like you said, it's a movement. You know, positive music. That's what we kind of need in this day and age. And also, after coming back, I think it's a nice revamp of what you guys are doing today. Obviously, you mentioned, you know, you had some changes along the way with one of your bandmates, Marty, you know, not joining the band. How was that to kind of restructure the way that you do music and not returning how it was before?
Yeah, there weren't too many changes in the way that we did our music. We had to sort of readjust the harmonies a little bit, right? Because, you know, obviously, you know, 4 voices versus 3, there's a difference there. So I think that for Bob, we kind of had to bump him up on some of the songs, have him sing, you know, a little higher, maybe, you know, so he would replace some of what Marty's lines would have been. Okay.
Right.
And then, you know, Larry may have to adjust here and there. You know, when we performed back in the day, a lot of times I would actually be singing lead and jump back and forth into the background, which with Marty, I didn't necessarily have to do that. So I had to kind of figure that whole trick out, which was crazy, you know. But, you know, obviously when you're in the studio, you can lay down all those extra vocals. So studio performances are much different, you know. And then when you do live now, you know, and at least now in 2023, when we go live on the road, we're probably going to have maybe 1 to 2 background singers behind us just to fill in some of the harmonies, just to make sure that it sounds like the record. You know, we want it to be all the way live. We don't want, you know, we're trying to avoid having the track show and all that because we love to perform live. And so as live as we can make our sound on the stage is what we're going to try to do.
Well, if you are touring in the UK and you need a backing vocalist, I'm here, guys.
Hey.
I'd be so down. I'd be so down. The music is right up my street, so if you ever need that,
we'll keep it in mind. We'll keep it in mind.
But yeah, no, it's amazing to see you guys back, and congrats on all the success you are having returning to music. Are there any kind of final messages to people watching back, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, thank you to everybody that's showing the single love.
Yes.
Like you said, it's hitting the charts on iTunes. We're getting a lot of streams on Spotify and everywhere else. We want those that haven't had a chance to either hear the songs, hear the remixes, see the video. We have a beautiful music video out available. Follow us on social media. We're at the official 4 p.m. That's spelled out TheOffICIAL, the number 4 p.m. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. What am I missing? TikTok, yeah.
Oh, you're on TikTok. Okay, I need to find you on TikTok.
Theofficial4pm.com.
Yeah, and the website is theofficial4pm.com.
Amazing. So if anyone is watching back, all the links will be in the description. Thank you all for joining me today. It's wonderful to connect. I've been really happy to learn about your journey. Now, I didn't ask for this. I didn't pre-prepare, but would you be able to give us a bit of acapella?
Sure, why not?
Sure. What we doing?
A little 4 more.
Yeah.
If I could live my life 1,000 times, it would never be the same without you, without you. That is really something to think about, 'cause if we ever parted, what would I ever do without you, girl? We started out as friends, never did think that this would turn into true love. Yeah. With you is where I wanna be. I found a friend alive with you.
Hey, that was incredible. See, look, off the rip, no preparation. That's how it's done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Incredible. Thank you for that. And thank you for everyone who has been tuning in. We really appreciate you supporting the blog page. And again, I'm going to keep interested in your journey. I want to see what's next. Actually, can you reveal what's coming up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Second single, look for it mid-February. Okay. Album, April timeframe. Okay, the full LP. And we'll drop the third single along with that one. Okay, so just to give you some timelines. All right.
We're shooting a video.
And a video will come out just as we did with the first single, with the second and the third. So we're definitely going to have visuals with everything we put out.
Love it. The visuals for the latest single are amazing. Again, you guys have done an incredible job coming back with this single. Your visuals are there. The socials
Thank you, Akso.
The vocals are there. So I am excited to follow your journey. Thank you all for joining me today. And yeah, let's keep in touch.
Let's do this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
For sure. Take care.
Peace.
If you're in London, you need to hit me up.
We got you, man.
Well, yeah, that's definitely part of the plan. That's definitely part of the plan.
I'm still trying to be the 4th member.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
Enjoy the rest of your
Peace.
day.
Stay positive.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you.